Hello YouTube, it's me, Wade, for the NAA Awesome Video Diaries. And today is day 32 of the video diaries. And you're asking yourself what happened to the 90-day challenge. Okay, so first let's talk about why I was missing. Okay, first I got sick. I got really sick. I mean, like, it's like when you're like, back in the old days, people used to die from this. I'm worried. Sick. Then I went to a business meeting after I got better. And then I went to a business meeting, and then somebody there helped me out, and I got sick again. So let's talk a little bit about the 90-day challenge type thing. What happened? Boy, howdy, did I misunderstand. But let me explain something really quick. Okay, as I've said repeatedly, and I'm never going to stop saying, the NAA insurance is based on a law of numbers. It's numerical. You can't get away from it. And it's really simple to understand. If you're a field agent and that's all you're going to do, you're not going to do any recruiting. The more dials you make, the more appointments you go on. The more appointments you go on, the more applications you submit. The more applications that you submit that are accepted, the more money you make. If you want to make more money, make more dials. Okay, it's not hard to understand. There's nuances to that and all that stuff about perfecting your technique with your own presentations and all that, but basically it's pretty simple. So I go to this hotspot meeting, and I encourage everybody to go to the NAA hotspot meetings because, number one, they always have something educational, like a product that maybe you don't use or something like that. There are senior people who are there who, where you are now, they once were, and they can help get you to where they are. And some of these guys are pretty damn successful. And then they've got a special guest every now and then that they're gonna do their little, dog and pony show. That's not really the right way to say it, but they're gonna give you, depth to the business, so you can be a better agent. Okay, so I'm at my hotspot meeting, and they're going around asking the questions, how many people did this many sales, da-da-da-da-da, and then they get down to how many people had no appointments, and I raise my hand. And me and a couple other guys, but hey, I kind of stick out, so he called on me. And he said, how many dials did you make? And I said, not as many as I'd hoped to. And he goes, I bet you didn't. How many did you actually make? And I said 1,686, and he was just dumbfounded. I mean, the whole place was kind of like, what? Then he pretty much said something, and I got bitchy. Because in essence, he called me a liar. And that's one thing that I've really got to get a handle on. And thank God for Robert, because Robert backed me up saying, no, he really does do that many dials. He's not employed. He's trying to be a full-time agent. And, he understands the more dials you do, the more appointments that you'll go on. And so the guy's like, you know what, I'll come back to you. And thank God for Robert for sticking up for me, because I don't think he would have done what he did had Robert not said, you know what, he's not pulling your leg. So after they're done with all the normal stuff, Dusty, thank God for Dusty Martin, comes up and he's like, okay, first, and he said something that I knew this was true. He said, what kind of leads are you calling? And I said, I'm calling on TLPs. And he said, oh God. He said, you got to be calling A leads. And I said, well, I kind of thought that, but they told us anything. He goes, no, don't listen to them. Get A leads. And I'm like, okay. And he says, okay, the difference between TLPs and A leads is A leads know that they sent you something. And if they forgot, you're going to remind them. They're looking forward to your call. TLPs, they have no idea anybody's going to be calling them, and they've got a lot of people that are calling them. Not just you, but other people are doing the same thing. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So then he asked me the second question, and he said, what time are you calling? And I explained, I'm calling from 5 until 9. And he said, no, don't do that. That's not good. And I'm like, really? And he said, no, not for where we are. For where we are, call from 2 to 5. And I'm like, really? And he said, yeah. He goes, you're going to get a lot more business that way. And he said, and the other thing, there are 2 ways that you can kind of do this. And he said, either call your appointments to be run on Saturday and Sunday, or do your dials on Saturday and Sunday to run your appointments. And he said, because most people are home on Saturday and Sunday. It's like shooting fish in a barrel compared to the rest of the week. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So, anyway, that aside from the being sick and everything else, and I mean, I had a whole bunch of dumb, stupid stuff happen to me. And, real quick, let me just say, Brian Tracy's got this thing where he explains that if you don't know who Brian Tracy is, he's really famous. Look for him on Amazon and you'll get a clue. He explains that normal people have a crisis every 3 to 4 months. People who have a crisis more often than that are drama queens. Okay? He's pretty blunt about it. And my little spin on that is most crises that people get into, they put themselves there. They, for whatever reason, when I hear these stories about things that come up in people's lives, it's because they're running late for work because they didn't get up. It's because they didn't pay a bill on time. It's because they should have gotten out of a relationship a long time ago. It's all these things that they really, realistically speaking, had they taken the proper action at the proper time, they wouldn't have that problem. Okay, that's my spin on it. And that's what happened to me. Something dumb happened, and then things just unraveled from there. So, finally got that taken care of. And that pretty much, without talking about what the what's it called. About the 90 days. Okay, it is not 250 dials a day. It is 250 dials a week, which I do in spades. I polished off half that baby today. Today wasn't as productive as it could have been. Today I called in 2, they have these things called time slots. Using a hockey term, there's the period from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., and then 5 until 9. And according to one of the gurus, you should be calling during these 3 times. I called from 11 till 1. Actually, it took me about an hour. And I did 44 dials, and I got 4 appointments. And I was stoked. Then during the next period, I did, 36 dials, I think. And I got a hold of one person, and they screamed at me for calling repeatedly. But other than that, no appointments. So I'm like, okay, great. I'll try tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm doing TLP, so maybe that'll go better for me. Everything else is pretty much supposed to be the same. I'm going to wait a week, and then I'm going to restart my 90 days, because when I was sick, I was still trying to recruit because I didn't have to call anybody on the phone. I mean, it's funny to me because I did have this thing to where when I was new, I had the flu and I was still dialing while I had the flu. This sickness, whatever it was, I mean, it was way different. It wasn't like the flu. I mean, it felt like the back of my head wanted to come off, like my stomach wanted to crawl out, and like I needed to be sitting on the toilet the whole time. It was just horrible. So I'm going to be restarting my 90 days. This week, I'm reading The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale, and The Psychology of Winning by Dennis Waite, I think his name is. The recruiting, just so that you know, I have forwarded, 5 recruits last week. I got a call from my upline today, by the way, and she told me that I'm killing it. I'm just absolutely, I'm way ahead of anybody else in recruiting. So, top drawer. As a matter of fact, I'm known in the office for my attitude and my ethics, my work ethic. Because I'm doing the recruiting, they know that I'm doing the dials, they just know that I'm not getting the sales. So that's that. Let's see here, because and I listened to The Cycle of Growth of a New Agent by Barry Clarkson. So there, now you know. I did my dials, talked to my upline, listened to my audio, I did my reading. I forget the other stuff. Crap. Now I gotta go look it up again. Alright, so anyways, this is Wade for the NAA Awesome Video Diaries. Peace.